Wrist injuries can be a massive setback in your fitness journey, especially if you do a lot of bodyweight exercises. Think, for example, upper body push exercises. Here our wrists are in an extended position most of the time. And if we do advanced calisthenics skills like handstand push-ups, planches, one-arm handstands, then the load on our wrists gets quite high. And if that load goes unmanaged, then the chances of getting injured are quite high as well. But luckily, with proper warm-ups and regular wrist conditioning, we can bring that risk down so that we don't have to stop our training because we're injured. And that's why I'm making this video. So today I want to share with you my personal wrist routine that I've been using for the past few years. And I'm using this as a warm-up before upper body sessions, as a conditioning routine on rest days. And also, if I get injured, I'm using this routine to recover and get back on track. Honestly, my relationship with this wrist routine goes a little bit like this. So I'm starting out very responsible. I'm doing this routine before every upper body workout. And then I'm kind of getting a bit lazy, so I'm forgetting to warm up. I jump straight into the exercises. And for some time, this is fine as well. But at some point, my irresponsibility catches up with me and I will get an overuse injury. And then I remember, oh yeah, I have this wrist routine. I should do it again. And then I use this routine to basically recover, get back on track, and that cycle continues. So I recommend being smarter than me and stick to your warm-ups before every session. Before we get into the routine, if you're using this for rehab purposes, you should pay close attention to your pain and discomfort levels because it shouldn't really feel painful. A little bit of discomfort is okay though. If it's like a 1 or 2 out of 10 on the pain scale, that's fine as a general rule of thumb. But if you notice that the pain gets worse on the next days after doing this routine, then you should stop with it and you probably have to do something else. With that being said, let's get into the routine. Okay, so we are starting very simple. So we are just putting our hands on the ground like this and we're moving slowly forwards and backwards. And here we are not putting too much pressure on our wrists because we're doing 2 rounds. The first one is just a warm-up to get our wrists moving. And then the second round will be a bit heavier, and this is then for the conditioning side of the routine. Okay, now we're putting our hands on the ground like this and we're moving from side to side, again just with a tiny bit of pressure on our wrists. Not too much. And now we move our hands backwards like this. And we do the same as before. So we're moving backwards and forwards. Here you might be feeling a bit of a stretch, and that's also totally fine. It's great for wrist mobility. Okay, and now we're putting the upper sides of our hands on the ground. We try to keep our arms straight and we're moving forwards and backwards again and putting a tiny bit of weight on our hands. But this can feel quite uncomfortable in the beginning. So just listen to your body and only put so much pressure on your hands that it doesn't feel painful. Again, a bit of a discomfort is totally fine here. Okay, so the next exercise, here we are putting our hands on the ground again like this, and we want to lift our palms, but we keep this part of our hands on the ground, and we're doing a kind of like pumping motion. So our thumb should be facing upwards, And then we're lifting the hands just a tiny bit. So not like this, just a tiny bit. And we're doing about 50 of these rapid lifting movements. Okay, let's do 10 more. Okay, nice. Now we're doing the same thing, but we're going onto our fingertips. Thumbs are still lifted, and we are still doing only small movements. Let's do 30 of these. Yeah, should be about 30. Doesn't have to be exactly 30. Okay, now you should feel a bit of a burning sensation or a bit of a pump in your forearms. So this is quite good to get the blood flowing and to warm up. The next exercise will be an isometric hold. So we're putting our hands down like this. Again, now we try to stay on this part of our hands. And we're just leaning forward, can go into a push-up position depending how heavy it feels for you. And we just hold this here for a while. Isometrically, meaning we are not really moving. Okay, let's do 5 seconds more and then we switch. Okay, now we switch to doing the same but backwards. So we're going into this kind of reverse plank position. Again, not putting too much weight on our hands in this round and just hold it again isometrically. And isometrics are quite good for strengthening the tendons in our joints because they trigger some cells in our joints, in our tendons, that will signal the body to release more collagen, which is the building block of tendons, or the main building block. The next one will be 4 fingers. So we go on our fingertips, the thumbs are in the air, and we just put a tiny bit of pressure on our fingers, and we hold this for some seconds. Okay, and now we do the same, but just with our thumbs. So fingers are in the air and we're putting pressure on our thumbs only. All right, that was already round 1. So now we're doing the same exercises, just with a bit more intensity. So now we can go into a push-up position or whatever feels good for you. And we move forwards and backwards again. And now you can put a bit more weight on your hands while doing this. Okay, let's turn our hands to the sides and go from side to side here. Show it from the front. All right. And now we do the same, hands facing backwards again. Okay, And now we're going again on the back of our hands and putting weight on the wrists here. And if you feel strong enough, you can do it in a push-up position. For me, this feels still a bit uncomfortable, so I just stay here and then move a bit forwards and backwards. But you can get really, really strong wrists even in this position. I don't know if you've seen some videos, but some people are performing planches in this position or even spinning on one wrist like this. That's a bit crazy, but that just shows how durable your body can get if you train it in the right way. Okay, now we do these palm raises again, thumb in the air, small movements here. And you can, if you want, you can do it like in a push-up position, but for me it's enough to get this kind of pump feeling, just staying on the ground like this. And you should just decide based on how easy everything feels to you. If it's too easy, put a bit more weight on your hands. If it feels heavy enough, then just stay here. Okay, and now we do the same again with the fingers. So about 30. All right, again, now my forearms feel a burning sensation. Again, this is a good sign. And we are continuing with the isometrics again. So go into the push-up position and lean forward. Now you can lean a bit further forward than before. And we just hold this. All right, now we're doing it again the other way around and put a bit more weight on our wrists. And to get back to the topic of the isometrics, as I said before, these are really good to provide the body with a stimulus to build more collagen. But there's also another interesting fact about these cells that provide our body with that stimulus to produce more collagen. And this is that they go kind of dormant after about 10 minutes, meaning that you won't get the signal afterwards. So it's no use to have the conditioning routine too long. It's better to have short sessions that are spaced further apart. So let's do the finger hold again. Okay, so the good thing is that these cells get active again after about 6 hours. So an optimal protocol for rehab could look like this. So you're doing this routine in the morning, about 10 minutes, and then you do it again in the evening where there's enough time between each session so that you get the optimal response from your body. Let's move onto our thumbs as the last exercise and hold this for a bit. All right, that was round 2, and that concludes the full warm-up and conditioning routine. And as I said in the beginning, I would recommend to do this routine or a similar routine before every upper body training session, just to be sure to keep being injury-free. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a great training and have a nice day, and bye.